welcome to another Checiegirl Creations DIY video. So today I will be creating a journal spread in my friendship journal, and I share this friendship journal with my best friend Jess, and as I'm flicking through you can see that some of the pages are hers and some are mine, and I will link to my process videos in an iCard in the top right hand corner to like a journal playlist. So I'm just flicking through to try to figure out what page I want to use. And the one that popped out to me was this one. Those are pages from a maths book. Oh, and I can also link to the playlist where it has how I created this journal as well, just in case you're interested. So because this page would be very porous, I'm just using some clear chalk primer from my latest mixed media box to prime the page. And it's clear, so you'll still be able to see everything, which is nice about that, but then it'll create a less porous surface. And I'm also going to use the mixed media plate from my latest box, and I'm using some ink sprays to just spray on it and just stamp on. As you can see there, some of them are from inks and some of them are from food coloring that's mixed with water. So I'm just using most of the colors I have and just splotching it around really. But please don't get too attached to how it looks now. It goes through a lot of changes. I struggled a lot with this page, and I'm kind of glad that I did in a way, because a lot of my pages recently have gone so well. I haven't been able to show you guys how I salvage things as well, so this is useful, especially if you're a beginner, and this will definitely show, though it starts off as a hot mess, you can save it. So I'm just blocking out some areas on the page with chalk primer. Again, this is from one of my previous boxes, and you can check out my previous boxes via the links below. All of them are marked down from £18 to £12, so please do check that out if you're interested, and I'll also link to a playlist where you can see all the unboxes for my previous boxes. And now I've just grabbed a few washi tape rolls, and I'm just putting in a few areas just to create some texture, both visual and, you know, just a few layers. The nice thing with like mixed media, you just layer and layer and layer. So I just wanted to create a little bit of difference. I haven't used washi tape in a layout in ages, so I thought I would. And I'm just going to go in very quickly with some clear chalk primer just to seal in those washi tape strips. Washi tape doesn't like to stick on like different kind of surfaces, so that just helps to keep it down. And I'm just grabbed some papers. This is some packaging from one of my mixed media boxes. That one is actually still in the store. That's the June box from 2017. And I'm also grabbing some book paper and then just putting that in different areas. And I'm just using some PVA glue to stick that down with a palette knife. That's my favorite way to stick things down. You guys probably know that if you've been following me for a while. It's just nice and quick. And I still had some glue left over, so I thought I might as well just add a few more strips. So I've gotten some plain strips that's like on the side of the book page. I always like to keep those separate just in case I want to use those. And again, this is just creating some more texture. And I'm also using that plain book paper just to kind of break up all the text and stuff, especially since I didn't start on a white background. I did start on a busy background really. So that was just nice to kind of cover up some things I didn't really want to shine through. And now I'm going in with some more chalk primer, just a bit thicker now, using that palette knife again. I really just wanted to block out some areas and just make everything just look a bit more cohesive and just bring the background together. Okay, so I let that dry, and my first initial idea was to have like a tree. But not like the full tree. I just wanted like the leafy bits at the top, and then to maybe have like someone peering through, most likely a girl, like looking at the sky. So I just kind of put in very messy branches just because I thought it might shine through when I first put on the leaves, and you'll see how I do that. I'm going to use the mixed media plate again, and just you can see just swirling on the paint. I'm going to be using sap green, light yellow green, I think it is, some medium yellow, just kind of layering up, which is why I put the branches in there, just in case it shined through. But I knew most of it probably would have gotten covered up. And the paintbrush I'm using to swirl that paint around, I'm not cleaning, so you can see everything's kind of mixing a bit as I layer that on. And yeah, so that was my initial idea. Again, don't get attached to that. It changes a lot. Um, so yeah, so I'm just layering that. I think I might go in. Nope, I'm gonna clean the plate now. So I was just going to leave it like that for now because I figured I need to let it dry a bit before I added any more layers. And I wanted it to kind of be like a kind of galaxy night sky. And I put too much paint on the page, so that kind of just blacked out everything. And then I figured if I was gonna have some of the background shining through, I might as well just go and like smudge up the green for the tree, because then you would see some of the blue shining through. And I've just kind of dabbed some of that color away with a paper towel. And this is where I started to panic a little bit. I was like, oh gosh, this doesn't look any good. So I thought I'll just try to put in some clouds, again using that mixed media plate and some white. And yeah, so this is where I started to struggle a little bit. And I think I struggled because I haven't worked on anything this size for a while. So I just kind of lost practice. I've been working a lot on like A5 size things and smaller. So I would say, if like you're using different journals, try to practice on different sizes so you don't get out of practice. Yeah, I've gone from working on like kind of A4 size around this size to smaller, so I have to get back practice again on bigger surfaces. So anyway, I'm adding some more color for the tree. I brought in another yellow. I think that's more of a like a lemon yellow than a medium yellow. It's a bit cooler. And I was like, I'm not too sure if I like the tree just in that one corner. So I thought I would just spread it over and just make it as if it was like um a forest or like a jungle or something. And that is the, I can't think of the word. I'm gonna have to put that down in words on the screen. But I hope you know what I'm talking about, but I'll put it down. Um so yeah, just the tops of the trees. So I've just spread that around and I'm just stamping that down. And I put too much green, but I figured I could always just go back in with like the blue. And yes, so after this step, I did leave it for quite a few days because I was just looking and I was like, I don't like this page at all. So I just left it for a few days to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And I thought might as well just try to cover up a lot. So I'm going in with a sea sponge and some white paint. And sea sponges work best when they are slightly damp. So I sprayed the sea sponge quite a bit, and then the page, so that the paper would like, not the paper, the paint would spread nicely. And I'm just going in and sponging on quite a bit of white paint. I needed to get rid of some of the trees, and the sky just needed lightening up. I didn't like just the plain blue. I wanted to bring back that kind of colorfulness that I had when I first started the page. So I've taken off quite a bit of that. And I thought maybe I could bring in the color now. So this is some like rose pink. And I just put a little bit and I was like, oh gosh, I don't like that. So I went in with some more white, but then I figured I might as well just stick with the colors because I thought, you know what, I really don't have much to lose here. It is just a journal page. I'm just going to throw stuff at it until I can make it work. So I'm going with the medium yellow again, some orange, I think that's cadmium orange hue or something like that. I will go in with some purple as well. I think this is like a mauve kind of purple. And the purple was a bit light, and because purple and orange are kind of like on the opposite on the color wheel, it did create a bit of mud, so I'll have to go in with the purple again to make it stronger. I went in with more pink, more yellow, and I'm just kind of going all over now instead of just sticking to certain areas, just to kind of blend the sky a little bit. So I wasn't extremely happy with it at this point, but I thought I was gonna stick with this kind of colorful sky. I just added some gold there, um, and now some white. I just needed to like make it a little bit not as bright, just kind of bring it down a little bit. and I wasn't happy with it just yet, so I'm using this drywall tape, and I've cleaned my sponge. And now I'm just stenciling through that drywall tape just to create some more color, again using the same colors. When you use the same colors through your whole process, whatever you're creating does tend to look a lot more cohesive and work. And it doesn't like, it's not as if it's too much contrast or anything, or it's just kind of fighting. Everything just works together. So I'm just using the same colors over and over again, so I don't have any issues with that. And yes, so I'm just stenciling all through those colors. I thought I'll bring in some more blue. I did want to bring more blue in, so I'm bringing that in now. And then I'm going to do some white as well. I'm bringing out a makeup sponge just because my sea sponge was all covered in paint now, and I didn't feel like going upstairs and washing it out just yet. So I've just added some of that white, and then I'll go wash out my sea sponge. Always make sure to wash out your sea sponge. Once I did leave it and it dried, but thankfully I was able to save it. But you really want to wash it out as soon as you're finished using it. So yeah, so there's a quick close up, and still I wasn't too happy with it. So I thought I would give it a wash of color. So I brought out some phthalo blue. This is like one of my favorite blues. I thought I'll give it a wash of color because I wanted it kind of like a night sky kind of thing, but kind of like galaxy themed. And as soon as I put the blue down, I was like, oh my word, this looks worse. I really don't like that. Maybe I should have just used some white or something. But I thought I might as well. I don't have anything to lose. Just put it down. So when I did that, I decided I no longer wanted like a tree line. I was going to have a tree on a hill. So I'm just filling that in now, just with the green, again, sap green, light yellow green, and the yellow, and I'm just going to just layer that up a bit. But first I wanted to put the sap green because I wanted to put the tree on first. So I still wasn't happy with the sky though. So I'm going in with some splashes and some like streaks. I was thinking the streaks could maybe look like shooting stars or something. I don't know. I was just throwing things at the page. So I'm going in with the purple, and I'm using a small brush for like some little splashes in the streaks, and then I'm going in with a bigger brush to get some more like splodgy splashes. And I'm going to do that with the orange, the yellow, the pink, white, and gold as well. I think I used. I didn't go in with any blue. Since I'd given it like a blue wash, I felt like I didn't really have to add any more blue, and you could still see the blue through the stenciled areas. So that's what I'm doing now, and I am making sure to wash my brush in between because, especially since it was going on a kind of dark background, I wanted the colors to be as strong and as vibrant as possible. And I'm not like flicking the brush, I'm more tapping the brush with my fingers, so I made sure that the paint was quite watery when I went in with the streaks and the splashes so that they would splash easily. And I kind of went in with the gold afterwards, and I was like, oh, maybe the gold will make it look better. But still, I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, gosh, it just looks so busy, and I felt like I needed to push it back because I had a feeling that the tree just wouldn't stand out when I put it on. So after the gold and some white, you'll see how I deal with that. Oh, and while I'm doing that, I thought I would just quickly mention I do have some Valentine products in like a catalog, so I'll link that down below and you can check that out. Yeah, just check out the Valentine's catalog. That would be lovely. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just adding those white splashes and then I'll let that dry. I added a lot of white splashes because I felt I needed to really brighten up the sky. And I'm going in with some more green again. Some of the splashes got on the grass. I didn't really want it to show through. So again with the sap green. And I'm going in quite messily because I did want it to look a bit lively, you know, like different colors of grass and stuff. So I'm going with the different greens now. And you can see I'm just very messily putting that in. And that lighter green brightened that up nicely because it just looked a bit dark, and then the yellow really helped as well. Okay, so now is when things started to improve. So I went in, and I put like an arch of white, and then I just blend that out a little bit, and then I'll like strengthen the previous arch of white because I wanted it to look like rays or something, like shining through. Don't ask me where it's shining through from. Um but yeah, so and this is when I started to like how it was looking. It was finally starting to look like something, and it started to look good, and I was like, phew. So I'm just going in, just adding a few more arches. And yeah, so I don't know, it's just kind of like a ray of light. Yeah, so, and I just make sure that the arch is nice and strong, and then I blend it out and just keep it quite light in the middle, and then I go into the previous arch and strengthen that. So you'll see that I'm going to do that now. And every now and again I had to go in with the arches and strengthen it a little bit more, just because after the white dries it does get a bit softer, and I think it kind of seeps into the background. So I just wanted to make sure that was strong enough so you could see the rays. And as well, doing it this way added a lot of depth. So it wasn't as if I was just giving it a white wash that just covered the background. It just adds some depth and just makes you, it kind of draws your eyes to the middle of the page, which is quite nice. And yeah, so I'm just going to finish that off in a little bit. Okay, and I'm going in with more green. I put a lot of green on the hill. It has a lot of layers of green on this one. Well, this whole page has a lot of layers. But so I found this picture on Pinterest. I'll link that below so you can see the reference photo. And it was like this tree that had like nice swirly curly branches, and I thought that'd be really nice. So I'm putting that to like the corner of the page. I'm just quickly sketching that in with pencil. And I know you probably can't see it very well, but I'll go in with paint shortly. And I didn't put anything on the other side of the page. I'm thinking I want to put a quote there, but I'm not too sure what yet, so I can go in later on. But I just wanted to put the tree in first, and I was going to go in with black, but then I thought maybe that might look a bit too stark, especially since it seemed to be quite a soft, very whimsical kind of painting. So I'm going with purple first. I'm just filling in, and I thought that maybe I could add the black over if I didn't like the purple. And yeah, so I'm just filling in the tree. The paintbrush I'm using here, I probably should have used my liner brush for like the branches, but I will come in with my liner brush afterwards to add more detail. Just because the point of the paintbrush isn't very fine, but I was able to work it out. So I'm just making sure that I like the thicknesses of the branches and how the curls look and everything. And once I'm finished with the branches, I'll go in and add the roots as well. And I'm just keep on checking back the photo just to kind of use it as a reference. This is not exactly like the tree in the photo at all. I just kind of used it just to give me an idea, because I'm not great with trees. Trees, I'm a lot better with faces than I am with trees. So every now and again I have to look at a reference photo just to kind of guide me a little bit. So now I'm putting in the roots. And the roots took a while for me to get it how I wanted. I I was looking at the reference photo, and they didn't like curl and swirl, but they still were quite wavy. And at one point I added like too much roots, so I have to go back and like cover that up with the green. So the roots took a little bit longer than the branches, but it did end up how I wanted it. And yeah, so I did struggle a lot with this page, but I'm actually really love how it turned out, and I'm really happy it worked out. It took me it took me ages, because it's about 2.5 hours of footage here that I've had to like compress, which is why the video is so long. Normally I try to keep my videos to like between 10-20 minutes, but this one is like 30 minutes or so. But yeah, so it took a long time, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And now I'm going to add some details. I'm using black for the shading, and I've brought my liner brush in now. You can see it's a lot finer. And when I put the black on, you can see it's very strong, but I didn't want it to be too stark. So then I'm going in with the purple afterwards just to kind of blend it in. And I don't use black a lot to shade anymore, just because it's such a stark color, and sometimes it's better to mix the colors you've been using before. So I could have mixed the purple with the green, or like the purple with the orange or something to make a nice kind of brown. And I could have darkened it up, however, like with the phthalo blue, that could have created a nice dark brown to add shadings. But by then I was like, you know what, I just really want to finish the page. Even though I was liking how it was turned out, I was tired of working on it. I haven't worked on anything, a journal page, that long for ages. So I just thought I would just use black and just use the purple just to blend it in so it doesn't look too stark. And I was really surprised at actually how it turned out, because I wasn't sure if the black was gonna like ruin it, but I actually really liked how the black made it look. It added just the right amount of depth I needed. And yeah, so I'm just going in and I'm kind of imagining like the sun or the light or whatever is coming from the right, so all my shading and shadows and stuff is on the left. And then I'll also go in with some highlights as well. Again, I didn't want the white to be too stark, so when I go in with the highlights, I'll mix just a little bit of purple with the white, so it's more of a lilac I'm putting as a highlight. And this time, surprisingly so, I didn't go in with my calligraphy pen at all to add any details, nor did I go in with my Uniball Signal white gel pen either to add any highlights. I thought that the highlights and shades I added with the paint was good enough. Okay, so now for the highlights. And you can see it's not a very bright white because I've mixed some of the purple with it. And the highlights was actually easier because I didn't have to like blend it in since I mixed the purple with the white. I guess I could have mixed the purple with the black as well, but I quite like blending it in. I think I needed to make the shading smoother than the white, because of course the white isn't blended in, but I think that's okay just because it just brightens everything up. I didn't want it to blend in. I wanted it to look nice and bright. I kind of draw it and make it pop from the background. And I'm also using the white to add some detail, so you can see where I've kind of brought the white down, so you can see like maybe that branch is in front of that branch, and etc. like that. And I also do that with the roots. I don't have to do that so much with the roots though. And now I'm going to touch up the grass a little bit. I found it looked a little bit plain, so first I'm just putting that yellow just to kind of brighten it up and break it up from the sky. I found the edge just looked too blended, and I'm going to add some white as well. But I didn't like how stark that looked, so I'm just going to blend that in with my finger. And now I'm just going to use the leftover like yellow paint. Oh, sorry, I'm going a bit too fast there. I'm just going in with some of the white and I've mixed some of the black and the purple together just to kind of randomly go over the tree because it looked a bit plain, and of course like the trunks and the branch of the trees have all the grains in it and all that texture, so I wanted to just add that in using the liner brush. And you'll see that in more detail at the photos at the end. So now I'm going to touch up the grass. I'm just randomly going in very messily with the different colors of green and yellow that I've used previously for the grass, and with the liner brush as well. I am being gentle with my liner brush, though I don't want to damage it. So if you're worried about that, you could just use a small brush, but I wanted that long brush stroke. And now I'm just going to go in with that sap green just to kind of blend that in a little bit, and finish off the grass really. And I felt the tree needed a little bit more detail, so I'm again going in with some of that lilac-y color and darker color just to add some more depth and visual texture, most importantly, to the tree, so it doesn't look too plain, because everything else has so much detail and everything's like lots of stuff going on. So I didn't want the tree to look too plain, especially since I wanted the tree to like stand out a lot. And I'm going to go in with some gold. Yep, I'm going in with now. I'm putting the gold where the highlights would be. I just felt as if I needed a little bit more sparkle. I know I have a bit of an issue when it comes to gold. I use it a lot, but gold is very pretty, so I think it's allowed. So yeah, I'm just putting that in the highlighted areas, and then once I've done that, I'm just going to go messily over the tree again just to add some more texture. And then that made the tree look really nice and pretty and sparkly. And I'll also go and add some kind of like grassy strokes as well in on the hill. So there, I'm going in messily, and I'll just kind of blend in with with my finger if I think it's a bit too strong, and again over the grass. Okay, so now for the finishing touches, I'm just mixing up the last of my purple with the black, and I'm going to add a nice border. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So this page really shows that you can go through a lot of problems, but you can make it look good. Just keep on going, and if all else fails, just cover it with gesso and start again. I just really wanted to stick with it this time. Though it was hard work, I really love how it turns out, and I hope you do too. So if you enjoyed the video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell to get notified whenever I upload a video, and I hope you join me again for another arty video. Bye!